just gonna. I'm sorry. It's just funny that we're counting down, even though we can edit these, so they're not gonna see the whole beginning of this anyway. No, like, and I appreciate the professionalism. This might actually have to be a cold
He's
open.
a showman.
This might just have to cold open like this. He said that. Yep, I know. I'm fucked. I get it. For those of you who don't know, Warhammer is a tabletop RPG.
Hold on.
What's up?
My mic was muted.
No way.
I heard you. I swear I heard you.
No, in OBS.
Oh shit. We had 2 cold opens today and I fucking love it. Hello and welcome back to DGen FM, where we talk about pretty much whatever we want. I'm here with my boys, Jack, aka the Crew God, and Dan, aka the Greasy Dan. Chances are, if you're listening, you also like to talk about whatever the fuck you want. You're willing to listen. So, perhaps pour yourself a glass, maybe smoke a little bit of grass, but definitely get ready for this class because we're in session. Gentlemen, how are we?
Ooh,
Good.
Bars.
Not muted, so I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah, we that was the second time we've done this intro. Jack has muted himself in OBS, so here we are.
Little technical
Take
difficulties.
two.
It happens.
Hey,
Part of the process.
Quality control will take place. It'll come into play.
We're learning
What we
still,
do
you
is
know?
We're still learning. Exactly, man. I mean, it's literally my second ever podcast episode, so like here we are, you know. And I low-key baffled the intro a little. Bobbled is what I meant to say. Bobbled the intro.
No,
a
you're
little
good.
bit.
I thought I fumbled my intro last time, but then I played it back and.
Oh, that second one was crispy. I will take the second one as crispy. The first one I bobbled.
Oh.
So
The
what
second
I'm
one
he-
was better. You
I'm
added a
glad.
few more bars. It was
yeah,
good.
Yeah,
what
that's
I'm
good
hearing
to
is
go.
it's actually good that I muted myself. So
Mhm,
yeah. Okay.
Everything
right.
happens for a reason.
Yeah, right?
Right,
True.
totally. Yeah. So, like I said previously, I usually like to at least start stuff with a little bit of a theme to just get shit rolling, get it moving, you know? And we all kind of decided prior to recording that we'd talk about shit we've been into recently or shit we're getting into recently. And, talking about that, I realized that none of the other 2 here with me know about Warhammer.
This
And
is
I have
true.
been
I
fucking
do not.
falling deep into Warhammer. I've been listening to podcasts. I've been doing like research and shit. It's crazy. So Warhammer, for those who don't know, is a tabletop RPG similar to D&D in ways, but it's less of an adventure game and more of a full-out combat scenarios game. So the lore, yeah, it's intense, and the miniatures are expensive, and people usually paint them to keep, you know, things cohesive and more immersive and whatever. So it's a lot, and the lore is fucking extensive, dude. I'm listening to a podcast. I want to shout them out because they're amazing. Adeptus Ridiculous, fucking awesome podcast, especially if you're trying to get into Warhammer. It's very approachable. They've been talking about a lot of shit in the past, probably, I don't know, 6 episodes, which is like the first 6 episodes of the series. I think we've covered 60 million years of lore,
What?
something like that. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's
That's-
super fucking insane, and it's
that's
been
ca-
very, yeah, it's
Because I
It's a
know
lot.
like Star Wars covers is one series I know of that covers like a lot of years of war or sorry
Mhm.
lore.
Yeah.
But 60 million years, that's
yeah. We're talking like from Dawn of Creation shit to like. Actually, so Warhammer 40K is like the full name of what I've been really getting into, and 40K means the 40,000th year.
That's
So, like,
crazy.
That's like just humanity. There's shit way prior to that, or it's like the 40,000th millennia, I think, something like that. It's something insane. It's something crazy.
How do they
but
plan that
like-
all out? Is it like is it literally just like someone has sat down? Is it one person that's written all that shit down? Like, is it like
You know, I don't know how Games Workshop works. Games Workshop is the company that created it. But I do know that this is a long running. I'm actually going to Google this while I talk. It's a super long running game. So they've had many, many years to develop the lore and do all this crazy stuff. The first edition rulebook was published in 1987. So it's a really old game. It's a super old game. So they've been writing this lore for a long
damn?
and they've done really well with like keeping their lore open. So like certain new characters that were revealed. For instance, I just learned a lot about the Necrons, which is one of the like I guess species in the game that you can play. And when they first revealed Necrons, they didn't tell you shit. They're just like, hey, these fucking skeleton robots are all over the place. What the fuck? And then you start playing them. But like up until like damn near like COVID, they didn't really get like a full lore dive, I believe.
Hmm.
So they like just redid them and did all this crazy stuff. But there's a lot of shit. I mean, there's a specific thing that most people who haven't heard of Warhammer still know about, the Horus Heresy, like the kill the heretic shit and all that. That's from fucking Warhammer. And the Horus Heresy is just one event in this entire universe, and it's like 11 300-page books long. It's fucking insane.
So what
It's
you're
a-
saying is you found yourself astronomically deep rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, it is the deepest rabbit hole I've ever attempted. And I play fucking
brother.
Magic the Gathering, dude. I
Brother.
play
Oh.
Magic the Gathering, and this is the deepest lore I've ever seen in my life. It's crazy. It's fucking insane.
Oh my days.
But I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's really interesting. And the way Adeptus Ridiculous is, again, shout out to them. They keep a very fun air about it, and they kind of like make it satire, which is awesome because some of the shit in Warhammer is just like, what the fuck? Like, it is common practice to just virus bomb entire planets in Warhammer. Like, that's just a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
It's-
from what I've seen and like what I've like, I don't know, just I haven't never played, but I know a little bit about it. Like
Mhm.
what's the first person game that you can play? Is it also a Warhammer game? I think. What is it?
There's a couple of Warhammer
I think it
based
came out
first-person games.
recently. I don't know. Like I saw like
Oh, do you
Moist
mean
Critical
Darktide?
playing it.
Might be Warhammer Darktide.
Yeah, I think it
think it's-
probably is.
Yeah, it's Darktide. It is Darktide. Darktide's first person. So yeah, so that's I believe more based in the 40K universe. Well, it's all the same universe, but it's different kind of times, I believe. Whereas I used to play, and I still somewhat kind of sometimes play, Warhammer Vermintide, which is based in the more fantasy side of the things.
Really.
So 40K is like, yeah, 40K is like super, super like technologically advanced, way in the future from us. And like, I mean, like just to be a space marine, which I'm sure you may have heard that term at least, space marines. Just
Yeah.
to be a
Oh, yeah.
space marine, it's like 13 biotechnical implants that they put in you just to start becoming a space marine. And like 90% or like a crazy amount don't even survive the implants. It's fucking insane.
Sort
It's
of like,
super crazy.
is it like Spartan level like implants and stuff, or is it like Atom
It's
Smasher level?
so
Like
much worse, dude. Like,
Really?
I'd say it's more Spartan level because it's
Yeah.
not like a full body redo.
mhm.
It's more like they amp the shit out of your body so you can grow to be 8 feet tall by yourself. But
They amp
but-
your body and hope you can survive the modifications?
dude, the fuckers have
We'll
2
see.
hearts. They have 2 hearts. They give them a second heart. It's crazy. There's whole. I could go on to this. Like I don't even know that much, and I could keep going. I'm not going to. However, like it's more Spartan like, but it's like where the Spartans didn't survive a lot. The fucking Space Marines, dude. It is so much darker. It is so much more fucked up. Like everything. Like there are. It's probably the most depressing backstories I've ever heard in my life. It's just really fun to listen to because Adeptus Ridiculous makes it funny because it like kind of is when it's funny to they make it so dark that it starts to become like, okay, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
It's just relentless in a sense.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the first episode of that podcast, and I highly recommend people listen to this if you're interested in. And I'm going to shout them out again because they're awesome. They talk about the death core of Krieg, which is a planet. These aren't even Space Marines. These are just guardsmen, which are like basic soldiers, right? There's just a shit ton of them. Krieg was a planet that was pretty well. It was a super city. I don't know the exact term they used, but it was like imagine Night City, but it was the entire planet. That's how it was. It was so
sounds like
yeah.
Coruscant. Isn't that
Right, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it was insane. Like everything was full, blah 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 blah. At one point, the government they got way too in their heads, and they decided to revolt against the emperor. The emperor didn't fucking like that, and also people on the planet didn't fucking like that. And so people started rebelling, and eventually the rebellion got pushed into one small little area of the entire planet, right? and they were forced underground, and they didn't know what to do. So this one guy went into an old Adeptus Mechanicus bunker. And Adeptus Mechanicus are like these crazy technologically smart people that can modify and do crazy mechanical things. He went into one of their bunkers and found just a fuck ton of nukes and decided to just nuke the whole fucking planet because he didn't think that they were worthy of being in the Emperor's light.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's insane.
Sokka Tower is one thing.
And you know what's really funny? You know what's really funny? After he nuked the entire fucking planet, that war still went on for 500 years. They were digging bunkers towards each other under the surface to fight.
Oh Lord,
It's fucking insane. But like, it's just like that's so fucking funny to me. Like, what the fuck? That's just so not a thing. It's crazy.
It's dark, but it's absurd, right? It's absurdly dark.
Right.
So there's a little bit of humor in
damn
there.
near, it's damn near satirical. Like,
yeah, it's so absurd.
Honestly,
in a sense,
yeah. It's I've been really enjoying it, but that's my recent thing. I like it's been a lot. I'm not gonna keep talking because I really could talk for a full hour about it.
So you said it's a tabletop RPG, and I know Jack, you have. I have not, and maybe some people listening haven't either. I have not played a tabletop RPG ever. No D&D or like nothing.
Really?
Like that. So I'm just kind of. I guess I'm just kind of curious. Like, what's the scenario there? Like, what's a good amount of people you want to have, and like I don't know what's
so
your favorite thing about like the energy in the room and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh God, I could talk about this for 2 more hours. To keep it short and sweet, D&D is very different. Dungeons and Dragons, you usually want like 5 to 6 people and then a DM, or maybe just 5 and 6, including the DM. That's usually a pretty fun size. You can go higher, you can go lower. It just depends on how much your DM can handle. Dungeon Master, for those who
Dungeon
don't know,
Master,
DM.
right? That's the guy that runs the game, basically.
That's the god of the world, pretty much. Yeah. And yes, it is the guy who runs the game in real life. So that like the energy around it's fun. It's basically like Halloween, but you get to play a game at the same time. Like you don't like not everyone dresses up. I know people who do, but like I just fuck around. I like to try to change my voice up, just have a good time with it, like if I'm playing a character that wants to take everything serious, I take it serious. If I'm playing a dumb character, I'm going to fuck around, and it's just fun that way. It's very very customizable. Warhammer's very different. Warhammer is less about it's less about role playing. You're not necessarily role playing anything. You're not like playing a specific character. You'd be like the overall hand in your army. So it's usually a 1v1 game and you're fighting with 2 different armies. And there's a whole point system with like each unit costs a certain amount of points and you have like 2,000 points to make an army and you want to like try to get as many foot soldiers and then maybe like titans, which are these crazy huge models, and they're fucking awesome, but they're like $150. Crazy shit.
You said it's more heavily combat based, so
no, it is. That's literally all it is.
Are you more sitting back with like a cigar or something? Like I'm gonna kill all you bitches, right?
I've seen some shit like that. I have definitely seen some dudes smoke some cigars and play some Warhammer.
That'd be me.
Yeah, I mean you're definitely like you're rolling dice and stuff, and there's rules and there's powers you can use, and all that stuff. But it's definitely like it's typically a 1v1 combat scenario, and there's certain game modes you can play, like control this or capture that or kill everybody else, whatever. And there's also different ways. There's kill team, there's full army, there's a bunch of other stuff. Kill teams are just small squads that you play against each other, but it's dice rolling in the same way. It's just like you're not dice rolling for everything. You're usually only dice rolling to like make a hit or defend from a hit, stuff like that. But it's fun to watch if you're at all interested in it. If you're not interested in it, it's like watching chess. It's so fucking boring. But if you're interested in it, it can be a great watch.
I mean, the models seem cool and stuff, like the miniatures.
Oh, the models. Dude, the models are gorgeous. It's just the fucking a kill team box of like 10 guys, I think is like $70 depending on
it's
what
expensive
you're
as fuck, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's an investment, right?
And like how many, I don't know how many points a kill team is, but like depending on, I think one kill team is like maybe 50 points or like something like 30 points to your whole army. So like $70 for like a 64th of your army is a fuck ton of money. So it gets really expensive, which is why I'm like going for lore right now and like seeing if I really like this, which unfortunately I am. But I'm probably, if I do start buying minis and painting, I'm going to start with a kill team and just keep it simple for sure.
I mean, they have those kinds of stores all over though. Like when we were when we were in Europe and like Alex was trying to go to each like Magic store and stuff.
Mhm.
He like half the stores we would go into would just be a Warhammer store or whatever. Like it strictly only miniatures. They'd have people like painting and shit like in a corner, and then they have like the miniatures out. Again, it looked cool as fuck, but like we didn't know what we were looking at. We didn't know what these things were. But again, it's at least from like an outsider view, that's the one thing that like I can totally see like why that would bring me back to it. And like again, that customization, because you have to paint every single like aspect of it or whatever, a little area.
I mean, so you don't have to necessarily. If you're like a newer player and you're playing with other newer players, you're not expected to paint it. But like if you start like getting serious about it, people will expect you to have painted minis. And if you don't, they'll be like, what the fuck, bro? So
do you even play Warhammer?
Yeah.
This
for
poser,
sure.
man.
Dude, there's so many like fucking actually guys out there in the Warhammer universe. It's fucking
you
crazy.
know what? I bet the whole thing is just fucking prime chock full of elitists.
Oh, dude, I'm
Oh,
sure it is. And like
gosh.
that's the part I'm not excited about, genuinely.
Yeah.
But I've also like, because I play D&D, I want to like, I have 2 minis right here that I've had for fucking 13 years and they still haven't been painted. And like I've always wanted to learn how to paint minis anyway, so like fuck it, why don't I learn,
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Why not? Fuck it. Yeah.
I should leave the bear. It can be a polar bear, you know what I mean? Like,
he's actually a grizzly bear. That's lore accurate.
all right.
And
Yeah,
you said
but
that they have fantasy elements as well in Warhammer, which
there's
like
a different version, which I believe is Warhammer 30K.
what is that like? Is that like the medieval times in the sense of like their world and like?
Yeah, more like psych based. What is 30K? I'm looking this up right now just to make sure. What is the difference between 30K and 40K games? Oh, okay, it's different. It's just a different type of 40K. Never mind. But yeah, there was fantasy shit. What the fuck was it called? I just looked up when Vermintide. I meant Warhammer Vermintide.
I mean, I'm just thinking like they could totally do that, considering like you said how like vast their history is, and like the fact that somehow like they've literally thought about that. Like that's crazy to me too. That like I don't think I've ever played a franchise that's had that, maybe like Assassin's Creed or something, where it's had like maybe like 1,000 years or more of like lore. But
Star Wars has a lot of years.
Well, yeah. Well, that
for sure.
Going off of like the media alone is like that's like at least like around like 60-70 years, and then if you go off of the books, that's like there's so much lore there, and there's so much like fucking.
I know Knights of the Old Republic, the RPG, that's like that's a few thousand years off of like the main franchise, isn't it?
They're doing
if you get into the deeper lore, I think it goes more and more thousands of years, and like so that's pretty expansive. But like you said, 60 million years. Was I cooked when I heard
was
that?
it 60 or 16?
Yeah, so 60.
Oh,
like it's a lot of shit going on there. That most of the lore that I'm talking about in that area, this was before humans. So that was like the beginning of the Necrons and the beginning of the Eldar and the beginning and like the old ones and all this shit. And then specifically when I was talking about that much lore, it was during the Necron episode, which is the Necrons killed people killed the Necrons got into a deal, bad deal, became lifeless robots, all of them, literally trillions, became lifeless robots through like crazy shit. And then only the higher ups kept like somewhat of their mind intact, the rest were just fucking emotionless kill machines. And because that happened and because they dealt with the foe they were trying to deal with, they went to sleep for 16 million years, and it fucked up everybody's brain. So they're all fucking insane now, and it's really crazy.
So what I'm thinking is like in a timeline that spans 60 million years, which is nuts, there's obviously going to be some pretty like absurdly large time skips in there and shit, right? Like,
yeah, there are, depending on who you're talking about though, because the Eldar were awake for all of that. As far as I'm aware. And I just found out. So the Vermintide games, which are the more fantasy-based one, is set in the end times, which are between 2519 and 2528. Which is a super long time ago compared to the 40,000th millennia. which is where it currently is sitting.
Wow. So yeah, so that would make
40K.
sense. That's crazy.
So it's a long time before Warhammer 40K. I don't know the name. I know there's a name for the fantasy version. I've been trying to find it, but I don't want to waste our time looking for it. So if I
It's all
find
good.
it,
I'm
let you know.
stoked for you. Like, if you're gonna jump down a rabbit hole, like, and you said you're like enjoying it and like getting into it.
I'm really enjoying it.
Clearly, there's a lot to unpack. So like,
Mhm.
it'll at least be a while before you like feel like you know everything about the series and shit like that. Like, you're always gonna
I
have
don't
new
know,
shit to
dude.
uncover.
I know more than the average human, sure, now. I don't know
The
shit
average human.
compared to anybody who's even remotely into Warhammer.
Oh, the elitists are gonna shut you down real quick.
Oh, dude, I like the dude who I listen to is fucking like he's so like he obviously cliff notes the whole fucking thing because we're talking about our episodes, and there's a lot of episodes
Mhm.
now, and he'll probably go into more detail about certain things later. But just for like the overall timeline of how the world's working, it's only been 6 episodes, and we've covered 60 million years of lore in very cliff noted form. But it's fucking crazy, dude. It's crazy.
Expansive.
But it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. All right, that's my fucking spieler. I'm going to talk about this for the whole hour. So, like, what the fuck have the boys been getting into recently? What's going on there?
Oh, Jack, you should tell him about. Jack's been doing something really fun. He's
Oh.
been playing a lot of Mafia 2
boy.
recently. Not because he loves it and just likes to vibe and do stuff. Why don't you tell the people what you've been doing the last little while?
Yeah, so I was going for this achievement, and it's not even in the main game of Mafia 2, it's in the DLC, Jimmy's Vendetta. So it's about a side character that gets fucked
Okay.
over before the main campaign of Mafia 2, and he gets fucked over by like the same people that like fuck Vito over or whatever. Anyways, it doesn't matter because again, what I was doing was nothing to do with the story, nothing to do with anything besides just fucking driving around for 1,000 miles within game, and basically I was just running this path. Like I would literally just go in a giant circle on the entirety of the map. Like there was like a little highway I could get on, ride that for a little bit, get off, and then just I had to fucking repair my car when I would bust it up, and I also had to get gas when my shit was getting low. So I couldn't just like continuously.
It has gas too.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my
I streamed a
God.
little bit of it. Like,
I didn't even know that.
yeah, the one time, one of my our friends, she made me switch games. I literally like was just like, fuck it, we're just gonna drive.
This is my chance.
Yeah,
right?
no, I mean, and I did actually get a decent amount done. I think that was like before we ran Helldivers or whatever. But yeah, that was like, yeah, I'm just so glad that I got that done yesterday, and now I don't have to fucking worry about it now. I have 3 like really easy ones that I'm just have to like do now on the main thing, and then I still have one more DLC with achievements to do. But other than that, I should be done, and there's no fucking 1,000 miles to drive.
Because he's going for the 100% and getting all the achievements, and that's one of the achievements is drive 1,000 miles. And clearly the devs did not think about it when they made this achievement.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to Jack as well when he was doing all achievements on Red Dead 2, and there was the one about surviving grizzly bear attacks, and he was borderline miserable at the end of that one. And I was like, hey, okay, it's okay, buddy, you got it done. And then Mafia 2 came along, and like this has been going on for weeks.
Yeah.
Like, I can remember talking to you about driving circles in Mafia like a full 2 weeks ago. Like,
yeah.
This has been...
I mean, granted, I haven't been like as on it as I should have been. Like, I definitely took like a couple days where I just was like, "Fuck it!" Like, I don't want to do that.
It's so monotonous. How can you not? Right?
Well, and I tried like again. I tried to fucking like. I did. I'll admit, I did try to cheat. I fucking like. I went on. I tried to look online. Like, if there was a video to like download a save, where you had to like unlink your like 2K account and stuff, and like. But again, it didn't work anyways. So I still like but I just was I was like, fuck it, like I just have to do this. So after around like 300 miles after I took my little break, I was just like, fuck it, I have to do at least, I think it was like an hour and a half each day. So I would literally probably do that like right before I would go to bed. It's just fucking drive around at least 100 miles and get that shit done. But yeah, I'm glad it's over.
Dude. Fuck that. But I mean, what a series though. All the Mafia games.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. I love Mafia 2 as a story. Like,
but
yeah,
the people who make achievements should be fucking burned at the stake, dude.
Well, I honestly, I do wonder if they like legitimately put like 1,000 miles in there, or if it was like a dev fucking up, because this is what people think on like the Reddit's like pages and shit, like what I've been checking.
Yeah.
They said like, I bet you like a dev just like fucked up when he was trying to put 100 miles and they put 1,000 miles. And then they were just like, yeah, no, you know what? Just keep it. Like, let people do that. Like, let them go drive 1,000 miles.
Or maybe it's sourced from just a very evil fucking man who is just like, yeah, you want to be a little achievement hunter, bro? I think being an achievement hunter is a noble hobby. You're like, hey man, I like this game. I wanna wrap it up. I wanna do everything. And as someone that's criminal for not finishing things in general, but especially pieces of media, like, I'm like, hey, good for you, like going for everything, man. And the thought that someone evil just tried to poison you like that.
I mean, hey.
Yeah.
I think it worked. I don't think you'll ever be the same after those fucking 1,000 miles of driving in circles in Mafia 2.
I think they genuinely just hate themselves.
I mean, that too.
like part of it is like they're either also super crazy achievement hunters and they want to challenge themselves while they're making the achievements, which is A. B is they hate themselves so much that they put it on everybody else and say fuck you. It's
maybe
I get a feeling about game devs. I can't even recall any specific examples just because I see so much. I get absolutely red, angry. Ooh, can't contain my rage. That like in so many games, I just get the thought of like, do these devs, do these guys that made this game play video games? You have so many games. Maybe the game is great, but you don't have quality of life features. You don't have maybe you have like shit customization options. And like I think customization options in a game, certain games maybe don't have customizations for whatever reason, if they're like very story heavy or supposed to be like maybe more realistic. But in a lot of games, I think customization options are a good thing. And like poor optimization too. And again, I can't even recall any specific examples just because this makes me so angry. I'm like, do you guys even play fucking video games? Come on.
I know. I agree 100%. And like you're preaching the choir on that customization shit because that's so important to me. I fucking like.
I'll spend hours on customization. Hours.
100%, dude.
And that's why I think I'd be into tabletop RPGs as well.
You'd love it, especially making your. Well, I'd say with less with Warhammer probably, because Warhammer making your own factions and chapters and shit that becomes really complicated. But with D&D, it's really easy. You just make a character sheet, you pick all your fun stuff, you make the shit happen, and you'd have a great time with it.
You know what I'm actually really interested in? So, I think we're all here fans of Cyberpunk 2077.
Absolutely. I still haven't finished my first playthrough though.
I might put Cyberpunk 2077. Say what you want about its launch and stuff, and I mean that's all true. The game did have a fucking
no, it's terrible.
If people are still complaining about the launch, get the fuck over yourself.
No, thank you.
They fixed the game.
It's so good now. Cyberpunk 2.0 onward. I might put as one of the best video games ever made. Now, granted, I haven't played every video game. There's a lot of like certified hood classics I haven't played. I haven't played the Mafia series that you guys were talking about. And there's tons of other things that I have not uncovered. So not that I'm the one to say like what is the best video game ever made, but fuck man, out of all the ones I've played, I've had so much fun with Cyberpunk and I love its lore, which is why when I found out that it was based off a tabletop RPG, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean,
was it?
Yeah.
Cyberpunk Red.
We have a friend that's really. I mean, you've met said friend that's really into Red, but like we probably could get a session going at some point. I'm sure. Like that is a game that I would
be interested.
We have a session currently going, and I'm sure you could hop in.
Yeah, that's right. You could hop in, no problem with that one.
Okay, we got to talk more about this soon.
We'll definitely talk about it. Just for your personal knowledge, I am so chromed up in that campaign that I am on the edge of cyberpsychosis. Like literally one pinky toe left on the line.
Brother.
That's an actual like stat in the game too, right?
Yeah,
that's like
you have to pay for therapy to bring your cyberpsychosis points down.
I love the game.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's super sick. But like before you get into it, I will warn you, it's not Cyberpunk 2077. It's not in a lot of ways though too, because there's no general network. It's all local network, so you can't just like hack some shit.
It's in the
You gotta, like-
2020s.
You gotta like right. You gotta like hardline into shit to
You have
hack
to
it
have a
and stuff like
cyber
that.
deck and stuff, and like actually like yeah.
Right. It's like it's less Cyberpunk 2077 and more Johnny Silverhand's time.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because it's called Cyberpunk 2020, so it's not in 2077 like the
Mm-mm.
title of the video game we all
Yep.
know. It's in 2020. So
Huh.
so the tech's not going to be as good. The tech in
Right.
2077
It's
is way
like the
better
beginning of all that net running tech and shit like that.
Yeah,
honestly.
okay. That actually sounds interesting as fuck. That has me
It's
more
super sick.
interested in it now.
Right, and it makes it harder because like I think we can all admit Cyberpunk 2077 is super sick and it can be very difficult, but at the same time, there's a lot of shit in there that makes it really easy.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
know,
if you know what you're doing.
Once you get leveled and with upgrading and components and stuff, and especially if you pick up Johnny's revolver, if you're a handgun enjoyer and you pick up that Johnny's revolver, the
Dude.
rest of the game is just G, dude.
That's me. I'm the handgun enjoyer, dude. Fuck.
Dude,
I'm a fucking
Revol-
Destiny player,
revolver
dude. Of
and a
course I want a
silence.
hand cannon. Come on.
That's true.
Counter-Strike player here. We're all about the Deagle, right? The Magnum pistol. Right?
There you go. There you go.
I mean, the Malorian is probably one of my favorite guns though. That reload, like that, like just yeah. The style, the fucking melee with the flame, he just uses the lighter, whatever the fuck. Yeah.
So that segment in 2077 where you're having the flashback as Johnny and you're dropping the nuke in Sokka Tower and then you fight through all the Sokka goons to upload the thing to free what's her name. The way the music hits and just going through, and of course it's meant to be fun and a flashback sequence, so you one hit all the guards with your fucking revolver.
It's great.
And the goosies I get, especially that music, dude.
The Rebel Path, yeah.
Rebel Path, yes,
Yeah.
Rebel Path. Great track, brother. I love that shit. That gets stuck in my head just like all the time, bro. That melody, bro.
Dude,
Oof.
it's so good.
Oh,
I love that sequence. And this is gonna sound fucked up. Okay, but hear me out. Hear me out. I love that sequence. And anybody our age, I think, can appreciate this. It's not gonna be fucking weird. Relax. Don't give me that look.
Okay.
Where are you going with this?
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Every
just
time
like
I
thinking-
hear me out, whatever follows is just like
No, it's a moment in video gaming that I think anybody in our generation will be like, I can't believe I enjoyed that because that's super fucked up.
Well, yeah.
Fucking no more Russia.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah.
No more Russia. Okay.
Yeah.
So hear me
No
out.
Russian,
Right?
no
It's-
Russian,
it's-
you mean.
no Russian. That's right. No Russian. It's a fucking horrible segment of a video game. It's so bad. Like being an adult, I understand that it sucks, right? But like when I played it as a kid, I was having so much fun.
Sam.
I'm having so much fun
Sam.
because you just get to fucking light a bunch of people up, and it's so fucked up to admit
Yeah.
that, but it's just what it is.
And that's why I drink, brother. What I do for those fucking people, bro. That's
That was,
right.
That was
I
the
can't live
beginning
with
of
that.
being a degen. That was the beginning of being a degen.
Yes.
No, I love
Starting
it.
point.
But
Cool.
in a weird way, that sequence gives me the same vibe. You just fucking run around, and in this one, it just feels better because they're actual shitheads that you're killing. They're not just
Yeah,
fucking
right. Fucking
civilians in an
shitty
airport.
corporate overlords,
Mhm.
dude.
Not true.
Yeah, exactly. So it gives me, I love it because it gives me that same vibe, and it makes me feel better about it.
Yeah.
Well, that one has
So
more
it
of a
just-
cause. Yeah, but yeah.
Exactly. There's a reason you're not just a terrorist, which is exactly what was happening in fucking No More Russia or No More Russian, which, dude. Oh boy. But that's why I said hear me out because it's so fucked. But yes, I also very much enjoy that sequence. That was my roundabout way of getting to that.
No, yeah. I mean, who would have expected that sequence too? I mean, like, I get it. You're supposed to be like behind enemy lines, but like, goddamn, especially in a Call of Duty game, it's like, okay,
Dude, I mean it.
Did that cause a lot of controversy at the time?
I'm sure it did, but like we were too young to give a fuck.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. Right. We're not keeping up with the media. We're playing the fucking game, right?
I mean, also, you don't have to shoot them though. Technically, you just have to shoot the guards. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, but when we were 9, bro.
Well, no, I know.
Spared none.
That's what I'm saying. It's really just a player's choice. So that's probably why there wasn't a whole.
There's that, and I'm also gonna say of the demographic that typically plays Call of Duty, who the fuck at Activision decided to say like, oh yeah, we can just shoot the guard? No one just shot the guards, dude.
Well, I'm just looking at it from
Nobody.
how they could have probably
No,
gotten
but
around
I
it.
get
But
it.
yeah,
I get it for sure. But like speaking back to what Dan was saying about devs, like who was the fucking idiot that decided to say like, oh yeah, no, they're just gonna shoot the guards? No fucking way,
well,
dude.
yeah,
No way.
I
Like,
know.
I'm sorry, and it's fucked up to admit, but we all shot everybody, dude. Don't even lie. Like if there's one person listening that legitimately only shot the guards, you better have footage. Otherwise, I'm not gonna believe you.
Devs being unaware of like the input you can have on the game is kind of a thing. Not that I'm saying Rockstar did this, but an example that comes to mind is like Red Dead 2, which is a very open game that lets you do a lot of stuff. And I believe Red Dead 2 got into, I don't think it was a major controversy, but all the Karens were talking about it, how like, oh my god, in this Red Dead 2 game you can like tie a woman up and feed her to an alligator, and it's like, well, yeah, you can, but I know I didn't fucking do that.
yeah, no,
I
Maybe some
can
of the
confirm-
9-year-olds that played it did, because you're 9 and you want to kill shit. But
yeah.
That has happened to me online. A friend of mine tied me up and fed me to an alligator
What
because
the
it was
fuck?
funny. But like,
I
but
gotta
that's me and the
reinstall and do that to
homies.
Jack. Oh my days!
Wow,
But I
no,
mean, that's me and the homies. I have never in the story mode gone tied someone up and fed him to an alligator. Excuse me. But yeah, that's
But
I mean, but that like in contrast, that like kind of is what makes some of these games so fucking great that you can just do
yeah,
whatever the fuck you want, and like as
choice.
much as it may speak to right, and it may speak to our character as human beings, but like it's fucking fun sometimes. Like I think that's one of the
yeah,
reasons why I like GTA so much. Is I would never ever go on a killing spree and rob a bank in real life. But in GTA, that's a fucking typical Tuesday afternoon.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
true.
Like it's
That's why it's fun, man.
right. It's like I don't want to call it a release because I don't have that energy that I need to release. I don't ever feel the need to go and like rob a bank and go on a killing spree. But like in a way,
Yeah.
it's just fucking it's not even cathartic to me. It's just like when all rules are removed, I think I have a really good time. I think that's what it is. Like
No rules,
especially right, dude. Like
the equal
especially
fun.
right.
Yeah,
For me, like especially having gone through 4 years of military school, I had a really big I like rules reasonable rules, awesome, cool.
Mm.
Unrealistic fucking rules, get the fuck out of my face. And like
Yes, thank you.
most human laws are realistic rules. I'll give you that. They're all like don't kill people, don't do
That's a
most
great one.
drugs, right? I
Yeah.
love that one. That's a sick one. Don't do most drugs and like don't fuck people up for no reason. All
Yeah.
reasonable rules, right? But like when your whole life is dictated by rules for 4 years, you kind of just want no rules. And that's how like I fell into GTA so hard, I think.
I mean, yeah, true. I mean, that makes sense. Like, you gotta.
That's the nice thing about a lot of games is giving you well, games inherently give you input to do whatever in the game, but it's nice when a game gives you a variety of inputs, a variety of options. You can do this, you can do that, you can be good, you can be bad. There's a lot of examples I really love, but like one is Metal Gear Solid 2, and
Good choice.
that was a game that was way ahead of its time in a lot of ways, and it was like it was very interactive with like small details in the world. So as you're going through, the big shell is riding, you can like one of the first ones that comes up is like you can go into the women's washroom, which you're a dude, you're going to the women's washroom. Well, that's weird. And one of the bombs you have to defuse is actually in there, so you have to go in there at some point anyway. But if you call your radio team while you're in the women's washroom, the colonel, and for context, one of the people on your radio team in that game is the protagonist's girlfriend. So the colonel and the protagonist's girlfriend will like fucking tear you a new one. Like, oh, are you in the women's washroom, you weirdo? And you can get really sus. Even there's a hostage room with a bunch of hostages in it, and you have to find one particular hostage. And while you're in there, there's a handful of female hostages, and you can, if you want to be that guy, you can assume a prone position and use the binoculars to zoom in if you want and have a look at their crotch region.
Oh,
And
man.
yeah, and if you call you call your radio team while doing that, actually, I think if you do it, a call will just come through. Even maybe. Again, they'll scold you like the game. It's almost like they're speaking to the player, like, "What are you doing, you fucking weirdo?" And I like that how that's something you
awesome.
can do in the game, and the game will respond to you doing that. Another example I love. I don't know if either of you guys have played Undertale, but it's
I have not played, but I've seen a full playthrough, and I really enjoy it.
it's I love that game, and it's
I'm
an
not
old
familiar.
like it's an old like
Wait,
when
pause. You're not at all familiar with Undertale?
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
that's
Interesting.
actually kind of crazy because it got pretty iconic for a while there.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's
maybe I've seen it, but I just don't. It doesn't
I'm sure
seem.
you've seen clips.
Yeah, it doesn't seem
it's like an
familiar.
old like 8-bit kind of RPG, pixel art anyway.
Mhm.
And the main thing that this does is it has that old like RPG turnstile combat, but combat is not your only option. There's
Right.
other ways out of combat, like talking to the character you're in combat with, or other options. For certain boss fights, you have to kind of do like weird certain stuff. But so that you don't result in killing them in combat.
Hmm.
So like the game counts your kills, right?
Mhm.
And there's a neutral run where you just kind of go about the game. Maybe you kill a few monsters. Maybe you spare this major character, but you kill this major character. I fucking murked Papyrus on my first playthrough. I didn't give a fuck.
Oh, that's awesome.
But then there's the two extremes
Mhm.
for Undertale. You can do the pacifist run,
Which is the
you
run that I watched.
you don't kill anybody, and there's this huge like epic sequence at the end, and you like, and it's a wholesome happy ending. And then there's the genocide run where you kill everything in your path. The game gets really dark and creepy, and I have actually never finished the genocide run because the Sans fight, oh my god, brother, I tried for like a week straight
Dude.
and rage quit. The Sans
It
fight is
was
fucking crazy.
so the run I watched was a pacifist run, and I thought it was awesome, and it was really emotional, super well written.
So good,
I
so
think
good.
I think that game gets a bad rap because the fan base takes it a little too far sometimes,
Mhm.
but it's really good. It's a really good game. The pacifist one was awesome. However, I have seen some videos of the genocide run Sans fight. I wouldn't even try, dude. No
It's
way.
it's so hard, and that's why I love the genocide run, and I love that the Sans fight is as fucking in my opinion. I've heard people be like, "Oh, it's easy. Oh, it's easy." Fuck you.
No, it's
Fuck you.
not. It's so
Fuck you,
not.
dude.
Like
Um,
like
I,
Jack, for your context, imagine like think of the hardest bullet like hell game you've ever seen, right?
Yeah.
Like just gnarly bullet hell, okay?
Yeah.
Now multiply that by 5, that's the Sans fight.
yeah,
It's fucking insane. It's crazy.
it's meta too. Like your screen pops in and out to like disorient you. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
What
Yeah.
the
It's
fuck?
And I
really tough.
love that the game punishes you for your input. You make the choice to be a fucked up individual and murder everything in your path. And it's like, oh, okay, you went the shitty route. You want to beat the game? Here's like the hardest fucking boss fight maybe ever. You're welcome.
Yeah, yep. I
I
agree.
love that. I love that that's how they
I
chose
do
to
like it
approach
a
that.
lot.
You
I
want to
do
be a
like it a
piece
lot.
of shit? Game's harder. It's like, oh fuck. For years, I didn't even get to the Sans fight. It was Undyne.
Shit.
She has a different variant for
Yes,
for
she
genocide.
does.
Undyne the Undying, and that fight it was a couple years that I on and off attempted that shit, and I was just like, oh my god.
It's a fucking tough cookie. Jack,
Yeah,
I think you might actually enjoy streaming that game.
I think so too.
If you like good stories, I think you would enjoy streaming that game.
Add her to the list,
Hmm.
but
I'll
add her to
I'll
the
look
back
into it.
burner.
Yeah.
Yeah. But oh man, there was something I'm gonna say that was gonna segue beautifully, and I fucking missed it.
He'll come back to you.
No, it's all good. I'm probably not even gonna think about it.
No.
Jack, how do you? No, it's not gonna happen. Shut up. Jack, how do you feel about the input output shit? Because like me personally, I really like Dan's opinion. I really like when games punish you heavily based on your inputs. I really like the output they give you like that. But at the same time, like depending on the game, I'm okay with a much more casual, like, oh, I made a fuck up choice, but they're like, oh, whatever, we're gonna do this anyway. You know what I
That's
mean?
where the GTAs come in.
Right,
GTA,
totally.
I think the whole point of GTA is kind of to be a shitty person, and like the
Yeah.
challenge run is like, oh, I'm gonna stop for all the red lights and no kill
Yeah,
dude,
civilians, and
fucking hell.
right.
No way.
No,
No way.
yeah.
But Jack, I'm curious to hear how you feel about that because I think you play a lot more variety than I do, and I'd like that opinion.
I mean, I don't know. I always like the thing is with my variety, like most of the games I've played, I would say like they have some variation, but like even with Red Dead, like yes, you can be like
Mhm.
I feel like there's only like 4 variations of an ending, right? There's like the good a high honor, and then there's like where you help John, or then there's the one where you go fight Micah. And then
Right, there's the 2 choices you can make, and then there's the high and low honor variants of both of those choices.
yeah, exactly.
4, I think.
And like I totally like I understand when like games do that, and like I get that like when you're like on that journey as Arthur, that you start to see this wolf as opposed to this like deer, like kind of like stalking you, and it's like that's like kind of it is your actions in a sense catching up to you, as opposed to like you know, the high honor where it's like the deer is kind of like the idea of like what Arthur is carrying on and living past that point, as opposed to, you know, yeah, again.
I didn't know there was the difference with the wolf and the deer. That is so cool.
Yeah,
That's
so that's
cool, dude.
And that's like it's really interesting if people don't know like the variations, and they're like, and they talk to you, they're like, bro, I didn't get that with the wolf, man. Like what was that? And they're just like, bro,
Like,
you got
a
the
wolf,
yeah.
bro?
Like so I like and that's like very similar to like Cyberpunk too, in a sense of like people's decisions and what they make. And that's why in my opinion, I think it's better if the game doesn't necessarily punish you as much per se. Granted, like in Cyberpunk, it does punish you further down the line if you don't make the right decisions for like said characters or a certain thing in a certain
and
like
they added something that I love. If you go in to say a Tiger Claws den or Maelstrom, any of the gangs, if you go into that hideout to do whatever your gig is, steal the thing or recover the person or whatever, and if you do what I usually do when going into a dungeon, I call them, because that's pretty much what it is when you go into a building. It's a goddamn RPG dungeon. And so what do I do in this dungeon? I kill everything. But because you went in there and slaughtered all their people, the Tiger Claws, the Maelstrom, the whoever it is going to send people after you when you're just out in the world trying to do shit. So you're trying to do your next gig, and there's 2 Tiger Claws cars coming up on you. You're like, oh, especially if you're in the early game, you're like, I'm afraid.
Well, yeah. See, the thing is, you can avoid that if you just knock all of them out and you don't have like a bad, you know. So there's like a lot of
violent impulses. So I don't know what you want from me.
So like there is, I guess, like that is like slight, like I guess impediment. I don't know what to call it. It's just like this slight punishment in a sense of like, yeah, you made that decision to like kill everybody, but it's not gonna like fuck up your game entirely.
No, true.
But for the most part, I think it's better if, like, again, it's just like if you make decisions and you can find a way to navigate around that shit. Or it's like there are times where like I'll be watching somebody like for the first time that's playing Cyberpunk, they'll make a decision that I would like I've never fucking thought of, or I never was like, oh shit, like, or even if it's a bad decision too. Like there's one I think I was watching like someone stream it, and like they literally just went in and just killed a fucking Maelstrom immediately, and then like didn't even talk to fucking Stout, didn't even talk to like didn't even talk to fucking Brick or whatever. They just went in, killed like Dum Dum, took the fucking bot, and then just was like out of there. And like that, I've never done that before in any of my playthroughs. I've never like, that's like a way to fucking do it. If you want to play it like that, you want to do it that way. I love games like that. I love games that have like their choice and people can really like, it's their game. It's the way that they want to play it, you know?
Yeah. I just remembered something that I found that I didn't know about in that All Foods segment where you get the bot. So if you don't, what's his name? The guy that replaces Brick, Royce, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he comes out from the shutter door. If you go through with that conversation, he comes out the shutter door and he's like, Brick's not in charge anymore.
Yeah, Royce, yeah.
That's what I did one time. It was on accident. My game glitched and the Maelstrom got aggroed. I swear that's what happened. So then I was just like, well, fuck it. I'll 1v9. So I 1v9 my way through All Foods. I grab the bot, and then I'm on my way out, and in this like garage area, I find that Royce, who I had not interacted with and not killed in that room shootout, was now suiting up into some like crazy mech armor to
Oh,
be a boss
God.
fight. And I'm like, oh, I should have fucking killed him the easy way, I guess. My bad.
So yeah, like
That's-
that.
That's insane.
It's cool little variations.
Wow.
Bad or good.
That's attention to
no,
detail,
I love
and
it.
that's like, I think that can be one of the most important aspects of a game, because that's just as someone who I'd say video games are probably one of the mediums I enjoy the most.
Mhm.
That's the shit I look for, because when I see that attention to detail, I'm like, oh, love went into this. Like that's huge.
Care, yeah, you can tell, yeah, and like I don't know. I think it definitely, at least for people like us that like those kinds of games that are like story driven and like again you can make those choices. It's like perfect, but like I can totally understand why someone that is like only likes Call of Duty or something, or only likes a specific type of game, is just like, why the fuck is there so much talking? Why is there so like why do I have to sit through, however many, and like I understand that, but it's just like that these types of games, I feel like those are for that type of genre of people, and I would love to see everybody play, but again, they may or may not just like be for everybody, it's just how it is sometimes. Like
There's different like brackets of games. There's the lore driven, story driven, profound experiences that a lot of single player games offer, and then there's like the multiplayer competitive side. Like that's the appeal of Counter-Strike for me. I love story driven games. I mean, I'm a Metal Gear fan, and you can fucking read through the Metal Gear wiki pages for hours finding out shit that you didn't need to know about some character from a side game. But like I also love just popping into a Counter-Strike game and just not quite mindlessly, but almost mindlessly being like, all right, I'm gonna go in here, competition, right? I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna kill the enemy, do the objective, whatever I got to do, and
some action.
Yeah, don't got to think about it so much beyond like thinking about what you're doing in the game, rather than trying to like process, this like universe's lore and like getting all these story bits and being like, wait, did I catch that right? Like,
Yeah. No, and I think that's one of the reasons why I fell so deeply in love with the gaming community and just games in general is like we were just talking about how we love in games when certain choices, certain inputs you make change the experience, right? I think that's a solid analogy for the entire gaming world, right? Because the input being what game you choose, right? Like people who like to play competitive multiplayers and shit like that, that's their input, and there they get multiplayer gaming experiences and they competitive games. People like us who I would argue like both. I think all of us play.
I like both.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think
of
all of
course.
us play like
Yeah.
we all play some form of competitive multiplayer, but we also really enjoy like solid stories, and that's our input choice, right? And that's what makes it such a fun world to be in, because when we want to just be some fucking competitive sweat and fucking fuck up everybody we're playing against, right? Like there's a game for that. You want to like change your entire idea about life, there's a game for that. You want to be somewhere in the middle where you're like really competitive but also kind of like some story stuff, there's a fucking game for that. Like it's such an extensive, I consider all of gaming to be its own universe in a way, right? Like
Its own
it's
world,
such an
right? It
right,
transports
it's its own
you.
world. And that's
It's
what's
such a
great about it.
unique medium. It is a very unique medium.
It is.
Because
It really is.
there's an audio visual experience which we
Right.
get in like films and TV shows, and I love audio visual experiences, and I also love that phrase because it's like, you have the visual of whatever you're watching, and then the sound design to go with that. With a video game, you get the visual experience, you get the sound design to go with that, and so there's a lot of video game soundtracks I love. I glaze video game soundtracks. There's so many good ones.
The
But
Doom
also,
soundtrack.
on
Fuck.
top of all that, you get the input. You're inputting to this
Yep.
audio visual experience. So it's an audio visual input experience, and that's just what makes it so amazing to me anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel as though that's one of the reasons why Dungeons and Dragons has not taken off. It's getting a lot bigger nowadays with social media and how fun it can be. People are seeing those clips of like great moments during people's sessions and all this shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it still hasn't blown up to the level that I think it should be blown up to because I'm an avid D&D enjoyer. It's just that audiovisual aspect because you have limitless input in D&D. I mean, you can do fucking anything. There's a civilian railgun. There's an NPC railgun that you can make in D&D. I don't know how it's done. I just know it exists, and it's something you can do just by manipulating powers and using people as fucking bullets. It's a thing. It's literally a thing. But because there's no,
Tell me more.
I can't. I literally can't. I don't know how to do it. But because there's no like audio visual to it, right? It's just there's a lot of people that aren't that into that, and like that's understandable, and that's totally fine. But
that's what shied me away from that kind of stuff. Is like,
totally.
That's why I don't read books, brother. I've never been a big book person because I just came up on those audio visual experiences, right? And I'm like, that's what I like. If I have to sit there and use my imagination, and I don't know if I'll be reading books anytime soon, but that's kind of what's drawing me to maybe like, hey, maybe tabletops could be fun because rather than just having it spoon fed to me, you know, I got to cook a little bit, right? Like, it can be fun for sure.
I want you soon. We're gonna talk about this after recording. I want you to try to hop into something we play because I think you'd have a really good time, man. I think you would.
I'm in.
Hell yeah.
With people, I think it's the thing that would sell it the most for me, at least when I started, was like it's not necessarily. I mean, yes, it is necessarily about like visualizing and like seeing the journey that you're going on, but also like we use Roll20, which is like a website, and that's pretty good with at least using online, like with a bunch of people. Everybody can see the same thing, the same map, and like at least visually kind of like position yourself and know where you are on the battlefield and stuff, and or maybe like just in a room or so there's
a certain amount of like that required like objectivity to it, because
in real life, right, John, we would be using an actual map. We would be we'd be sitting around a table and like all be like, you know, talking about it. We're moving our characters on the map, or the DM would be doing that. But yeah,
so I would say in an ideal world, you'd be playing in person, and you'd have these incredibly painted, really well done terrain pieces that make the map more 3D. Like, this is a perfect world.
Well,
right?
yeah, exactly.
You'd have this crazy experience. But if you don't have that full setup, in-person D&D, people are gonna hate me. People might come after me for this. In-person D&D, unless you have a crazy setup of insane terrain pieces and beautiful miniatures and like all this crazy stuff, it's just not as good as Roll20 to me. Being in person and talking to each other in person, that part's better.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
But the actual experience, like
representation,
you get digital maps, right? And you can download maps that people have made for free, and you get really good visuals of what's going on.
Yeah.
And each character can upload their own picture to be their token, so you have like a visualized person, and you can commission a piece, or you could just find some shit on Google and put it out there and use it as your token. So like it helps. For me, it helps with visualizing more, and I'm a big visualizer when I do stuff. Jack hasn't played with me for long enough yet to know that I don't maximize the shit I do. There's something to be said about people who min-max. I'm not gonna talk shit. I could, because generally, I'm not a huge fan of min-maxing. I'm not a huge fan of the guys who find shit to exploit it and do this crazy stuff with it. I don't like that. I like to have fun. I like to make it at least somewhat realistic. Like, obviously, I'm a fucking gamer. We've been talking about that forever. So, like, I want some crazy shit to happen when crazy shit can happen. You know what I mean? But I don't want to fucking, I do this, and that makes this, and this makes that, and that makes this, and because of that, this happens. Like, no, fuck that. I'm going to hit this dude really hard, and it's going to spin him around because I like that visual. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. And Roll20 just makes it a little easier to visualize that kind of stuff because you see the setting you're in, you see your character, and you can just kind of imagine what the picture that your character would be doing and how he would move and how you'd move in that environment. It's just fun. It's yeah. So my official opinion, please come at me. I want to fucking argue with people. Do it. I like Roll20 better than in-person in-person Dungeons and Dragons for most reasons. but I would rather be across the table from someone.
If you had a good setup for that, right? Like a nice like 3D model of a map, which could be a little expensive, or
super, not a little, super.
could you theoretically make like an inexpensive one? You just have to put a lot of time into it, like shittier materials, but like kind of make a general and a little bit of artistic intuition,
Not even shittier materials. Just part of that would involve like the startup to get something like that for the cheap would be expensive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like starting a business in a way. It's like you can't just fucking start one because you want to. If you want something quality, you got to fucking put time and money into it and all this stuff. Exactly. If I were to make my own Dungeons and Dragons setup, my own like my ideal tabletop map, there are ways I could do that for relatively cheaper than buying a bunch of shit from game stores and all that stuff, but it would involve me learning how to do CAD and buying a 3D printer and learn how to paint miniatures and stuff like that. And like those are all things I'm absolutely willing to do, but is a 3D printer and learning CAD and painting on the top of my list in my life right now? Absolutely the fuck not.
No, yeah,
so that was another question I had, because when you were talking about Warhammer, with the miniatures and stuff, it sounded like the cost of entry to play Warhammer was very high. So by comparison, how high is the cost of entry to play specifically in person D&D?
Free.
Yeah, you don't need any of that. Like,
if you you really don't need anything in D&D. If we're talking bare bones, you just want to play, you just want to start. First of all,
character sheet
in person, right? You need a printer and a piece of paper, and you need to Google. That's literally it. If you want a little
writing utensils,
not even that. You can print a PDF. You can do a PDF, type it in, and then print the PDF. That's fucking it.
Boom.
However, if you want a little more, like for me, these are the only two I have. But these two miniatures, I bought these two miniatures for when we played in person because I did like having a physical representation of my guy. But even then, these two miniatures maybe cost me $15. Maybe, if that, right? And they're quality miniatures. They look great. I just need to paint them. But they do look great. It's all about how much you want to get into it with D&D. Like for me, I fucking fell hard. So I'm a dice goblin. I have so many sets of dice. I'd pull them all out, but it'd take 5 minutes. I love the miniatures. I love the look. I love the aesthetic of just fantasy, that kind of stuff. I just really like that. I'm a super huge Lord of the Rings nerd as well. So that's kind of where that comes from. With Warhammer, dude, you're putting down money just to start. See, there we go. We got
a couple.
Well, nice. Those are the Cyberpunk dice, though. You can't really see them, though.
Oh, yeah, those
nice.
are sick.
But yeah, they're pretty cool.
All right, since we're doing this, I'm gonna keep talking. But yeah, with Warhammer, just to start, you need miniatures because you need to represent them on the battlefield. And I would argue you also need somewhat of a terrain setup because the game just needs because part of the game is like if you're in cover or you're half cover, very similar to D&D, you can be in cover, half cover, quarter cover, all this stuff, and it will affect your shot. And all this other, and like if you're hit or not, blah 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 blah. You need money to start Warhammer. And like I said earlier, like new players don't really give a shit, but if you're trying to play with some more experienced players, they might kind of dog on you if you don't have painted minis, which is a thing. But since we're showing off dice, I just got this set, which is.
Oh wait, I think you showed that the other day.
Oh wow!
I think I showed it, but I don't think I did it on stream. It is all brass with opalite inlays.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Oh nice.
That's crazy.
It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. They're all amazing. I love the set. It was actually a gift. Fucking shout out my roommate. She's fucking wonderful.
Nice.
But So yes, D&D can be expensive if you fall super hard, like I did. It could be very expensive for me. Because I don't play in person anymore. I have very thinly escaped the fucking massive money dump that I could have put into the game.
For Warhammer, I'm wondering, is there a at the very least cost efficient, if not free, like digital / online alternative like with D&D?
There are a couple games they've made that are similar to the actual experience. But I don't know how multiplayer they are, and I don't know if you can just fight with other people with your own
So
army and stuff like that.
do you think the tabletop game specifically, even if they've made an experience that's like close to it, the tabletop game specifically, would you say it's most commonly like played in person? Because
I
I,
would say, yeah.
I mean,
I don't.
I don't know about the game, but from what you've described to me, it might take a little bit of wizardry unless someone's already made a website or something to play the game you're
Yeah,
describing in
yeah.
like a
I
digital
would.
setting.
I'm not fully versed in how to play yet, to be quite honest. However, with the play I've seen, it's all been in person. I've never seen online play, so I
Mm.
don't know.
Hmm.
The
Through
miniatures, I think that's got to be the deal breaker.
Yeah, it's super expensive. Let's see.
Can we fuck?
For
Sorry.
So I just found out. I just did a quick Google to see how much it would cost to get a full army. If you wanted to play a full army game, minus the paints. We're not talking about the paints that you need in the paint brushes and the tools and all this shit. Just a 2,000 point army, which is a bigger game, but a game nonetheless.
Mm.
You're looking at $500
What? That's a little steep.
because it's about 200 to 250 for a 1,000 point army. Buying from Games Workshop though, Games Workshop is notorious for making their shit expensive.
That's a big startup cost, and
It's a
especially if
huge
you end
startup
up
cost.
finding out it'd be a bummer to buy that and find out you're like not into the game.
Right, and I'm aware of that, which is why I'm
Yeah.
falling deep into the lore, and I want to know if I really fall in love with this lore, which
Good.
I kind of am, but not quite yet. But I mean,
Okay.
like I said earlier, you can play Kill Team as well, and that's a fucking $50 purchase.
Yeah. Okay. Listen. Sorry, boys. I gotta fucking run and piss real quick. I'm gonna explode. Maybe edit
Okay.
this out or don't. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, we
Well,
are at
sorry.
the end here, so when he comes back,
Uh-oh.
we can probably.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Do we just? God, that Dan guy. What the fuck? Fun though, dude. I
Yeah.
enjoy this shit.
Oh.
Oh, and we're back.
Alrighty. Well,
Sorry.
I was gonna
We're
say,
back.
Dan, we're done, basically done. We've gone over, so we can just sign off here.
Wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
End it off with a piss.
Fucking hell. Ended off with a piss. Ladies and gentlemen, and unassigning humans, thank you so much for listening. I think
Yes.
I think I speak for all of us when I say this was a really fun episode, and I'm really glad we started doing this.
Oh, yeah.
Again,
Yeah,
this
man.
is my second episode ever. Huge shout out to these boys. We got Greasy Dan, Mr. Dan.
Shout
Where can
out
they
to
find
you, bro.
Where can they find you, man? Where can they find you?
Dude, twitch.tv, greasy_Dan_. Don't forget the second underscore. I'm on YouTube. I do
Ooh.
some stuff on there. I post on Twitter occasionally. If that's your thing, I am on the Twitter as
You
well.
say you shit post? Is that what you're gonna say?
Oh, I definitely shit post. Lot of
love
retweets,
it.
but I
We love it.
cook originally sometimes. But
We love it. We love it.
no, especially the Twitch. You can find me chilling there, playing all kinds of different games. Usually Metal Gear Kojima stuff or Counter-Strike or whatever else I feel like.
Fuck
But
yeah.
yeah, we're
Hell
hanging
yeah.
out. So yeah, there's my self plug. Come
And
Nice.
post up.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And Mr. Jack, fucking lovely to be here with you, brother. Where can they find you, my man?
Where?
It's twitch.com as well /
Twitch.tv.
Twitch.tv, sorry, my bad. / /the_crew_god. Yeah. Gotta have those underscores, But
Get
yeah,
the underscores right. It's huge.
This has been fun though.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. It's been super fun.
I love the energy and I'm excited, and anyone who's tuning in should also be excited in future installments of this. I feel like we're just gonna have a lot to unpack. This is
Oh,
I
dude.
think,
yeah.
I think we got a
Better
good
and
group
better.
for this, and I'm excited for where this project is going. So
Absolutely.
fuck yeah.
It's just gonna get better and better, man. Hell yeah. I agree. As for me, you can find me on a lot of places. I'm not gonna give you my socials yet. However, I mentioned, I believe last episode that I have not streamed yet, but I was going to announce something, and I don't believe I did. So next weekend,
Ooh.
which will be, I believe, the oh shit, math doesn't work right
It'll be
now.
the 20th and the 21st.
Okay, so 20th is Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the 20th, I plan on having my first ever stream.
Ooh.
Whoa.
I don't know what I'm going to be playing yet, I may just start and have anybody who comes in says, play this, and I'll fucking do it. But I will be having my first ever stream on the 20th.
Fuck
That
yeah.
is my plan. That is my goal. So there's that.
That'll be great. Awesome.
You can find me there at twitch.tv/MC_GRDNR.
There you go.
Gardner.
Gardner. Not fucking Grinder. Don't.
I read it as Grinder for so long. I'm
God
sorry.
damn it.
I'm sorry,
man.
brother. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
All right. Well, we'll
Awesome.
catch you all next week then. Thanks for listening and watching.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We're gonna smoke
tuned.
roaches out the couch next time too, baby.
Oh boy.
See ya.
Fucking
Editor's note for
take two.
Jacques. You fucked up, so it starts here.
Yeah, future Jack, this is a you problem.
yeah.